So yesterday we went through what happened in Venezuela and how it actually is America First, President Trump's decisions with that. And a funny thing happened, and we played a couple clips of these protesters who were like, actually, I would rather have Maduro than Trump as president. Like, okay, all right. But they had all these protests, and they were curiously just popping up all around the country 12 hours after the strikes. Hands off Venezuela. No blood for oil. Hands off Venezuela. And so you notice that's so crazy because these are all different cities and they have the same signs. Can you play that again, Stephen? That is New York City, Houston, DC, and Seattle, all the same signs, the same font, the same color, the same signs. And I'm just wondering, where did you get the signs so fast? Like, that's interesting. And so when you see the similarities here, you're like, okay, all right. I'm sure these were really, really organic protests that just happened to just organically pop up all over the country. Okay. It's not these idiots in the streets who probably couldn't point to Venezuela on a map. Turns out, moments after the first bombs dropped, a coordinated cell of socialists started to carry out a disinformation campaign here in this country. This is from Fox News, Second Front, how a socialist cell in the U.S. mobilized pro-Maduro foot soldiers within 12 hours. So you see all these posts start popping up online. One of the key organizers in the post is Manolo de los Santos. Why do they always have to have so many damn names? Just use a first name and a last name. You don't need a bunch of names in between, okay? But Manolo here thinks that he's very, very important. So Manolo is Manolo de los Santos, and he is the executive director at the People's Forum, which is according to them, a proudly socialist 501c3 nonprofit based in New York City. Now tell me why we have a socialist nonprofit. How is that allowed in this country? That should not be allowed in this country, okay? But it is, and they're in New York City. Now, I also want to show you this related picture here. All smiles with Nicolas Maduro. All smiles with Manolo de los Santos, and the other guy there. This is another major organizer, Vijay Prashad. Now, Vijay likes to organize all of this chaos from his home in Santiago, Chile, where he is most of the time. Okay, but the story is always the same. They mobilize these paid agitators. They hand them the signs. These people have no idea what they're talking about. They don't have any idea what they're talking about. They're just like, oh, you want to pay me to hold up a sign? Sure, I'll do that. That's why these man on the street videos have been so incredibly eye-opening. Like, they don't know about Maduro. They don't know about the history of that country. They don't know that Venezuela actually, when it was run well and it was a capitalist society, was actually thriving until Hugo Chavez came into town and was like, you know what? Communism's cool. This is going to work. And then here we are. Children are eating dogs in the streets. These people don't know any of that. So once again, if it's not George Soros, it's Manolo de los Santos and Nicolas Maduro and all of these in my country, they're going to make it look like a grassroots movement when, of course, it's just a highly coordinated information campaign propagated by socialist cucks. And people who, like viewers of the show, I think you're suspect. You see these popping up all across and you're like, okay, we have this many Maduro fangirls in this country. Like, what, you guys had nothing to say about Venezuela and now you're protesting in the streets for a dictator? Like, I don't know. This doesn't seem organic. Well, you guys are the smart ones. Unfortunately, mainstream media, they're kind of retarded, guys. And unfortunately, they are now, I think, equal parts evil and retarded. And so they're giving legitimacy to all of these highly coordinated campaigns. Let me give you the New York Times. U.S. faces uproar over Venezuela attack. And then, of course, they mentioned Kennedy. When in reality, the vast majority of Americans actually support what President Trump did. They actually support, dictators of communist regimes not being allowed to do what they're doing, to kill their own people, to bring drugs into our country, to bring gangs into our country. They actually don't support that. But the New York Times, easily fooled. Easily fooled. Then you have, this is one of those, anytime I see a View clip, I'm like, Misery Loves Company. I watched it and now you have to. And so you have Whoopi Goldberg, who had this moment where she was like, who voted for this? Nobody voted for this. Nobody voted. Oh, wait. Now, don't mention Chris Murphy or Chuck Schumer or Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or literally any of the Democrats who 5 minutes ago were saying that we had to get Nicolas Maduro out. Don't mention those. Whoopi Goldberg is now very, very offended that Donald Trump is sticking it to a communist dictator. Okay. And so Whoopi Goldberg is like, who voted for this? And then there was an actual interesting response. I think that it pained her. I think that it pained Ana Navarro to respond this way. But credit where credit is due, she did push back a little bit.
Is this a legal thing? I mean, who voted for this? Who said, hey, yeah, go on in there and do this?
Your question, who voted for this? Mm-hmm. The people in South Florida, the Venezuelan community, the Cuban American community, the Nicaraguan American community voted for this. And for us, this is a very, very happy day when we see a dictator who has been part of oppressing and abusing the Venezuelan people for 25 years, when we see him in handcuffs and held to some sort of accountability. It brought me into tears. It brought me great joy.
It's like, guys, wake up, read the room. Read the room. In no sensical, common sense, regular world are people upset about a communist dictator. Again, this is what's the crazy part is. Again, we didn't go in and blow his brains out. We didn't go in and kill him. We went in the most badass fashion ever. We went in 6 minutes, grabbed the mother and his wife, brought him back here and gave him a bottle of water. I can't get over it. Steven, find that from yesterday. They gave him a bottle of water. They gave him ear protection so that the helicopter or wherever he was didn't hurt his ears. They didn't want hearing damage. They were so nice, over the top gracious. They could have just, when you hear, look at that. You're welcome. Now, it doesn't look like it's Ozarka or like Fiji, but hey, we're keeping you hydrated, okay? That's not a war crime. They're covering his eyes. He's got eye protection. He's got ear protection. I don't know what it is that he's holding in the other side, but I would like to believe that it's a snacky. Okay. So I don't know what you guys are complaining about. We brought him here. We put him in a comfy tracksuit as he was walking. He was wearing a stylish tracksuit. It could be worse for Nicolas Maduro. Okay. But instead, these dumb liberals, these paid agitators, take the streets and show their true selves once again. The only thing that I wish would have happened differently, and I understand it's this is just purely from a political viewpoint, just purely strategical, entering the midterms, is I don't want the American people to forget about this by the time they vote in the midterms. I don't want them to forget about this in the general. Okay, because this is it's very important. It's very telling. Who cares about national security and safety? Who cares about the world? Who cares about geopolitics? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and co. Because just enter standard Democrat here. Whatever Democrat it is, they're going to have the same policies. They're going to have the same shitty policies and platforms as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They want to enter us into World War III with Russia and Ukraine. Remember, the Democrats wanted us to escalate a war on the other freaking side of the world. Okay? And then you have the Republicans who are actually, I don't like that China is cozying up to Venezuela, that North Korea and Russia are cozying up to Venezuela. That's probably not a good idea. Oh, by the way, they've got all of this oil that they stole from American companies. Oh, by the way, China actually is very dependent on that oil, and it is actually in our best interest to make sure that there's not an alliance formed there. Oh, and by the way, this man and his regime has already waged war on us, which we talked about yesterday. Go check out the show if you missed it. It's very, very obvious. There was an open letter penned about it. So it's just laughable at this point. I don't think it's going to work on this one. I think that the liberals have jumped the shark, and I genuinely don't think that it's going to work this time.